medicine. And these nanoparticles you're breathing in or putting on your skin, they're deadly. They're deadly. So we have to be already done. But nanoparticles, they're also in cosmetics. They're in sunscreens. When we talk about the danger of sunscreens, that it'll actually pierce the skin. That's how they get a waterproof sunscreen. It actually pierces the skin and does damage. Okay, it can actually attach to the fat layer. So paints, packaging, medicine, and these nanoparticles you're breathing in or putting on your skin, they're deadly. They're deadly. So we have to detox them. There's a really good movie called Look Up. Okay, now, and there's a number of good documentaries. This one's award-winning. And what's interesting, it's about geoengineering. This is a quote from a government official when he talks about keeping geoengineering on the table. But the people that are doing the geoengineering, this is his quote, they don't understand the system well enough to predict its responses in detail. So the side effects are worse than the dimension, than the problem they're trying to cure. Which kind of makes sense. I mean, how many people, reduction of global warming, stratosphere seeding. These are two patterns of what we're seeing a picture of. Now, this is in the atmosphere. It is happening on our planet. And it's not like it's not that we can do anything about it. This is coming on. Now, excellent YouTube video. It's called The Arctic Death Spiral and the Methane Time Bomb. I encourage everybody to watch this one. It's a shocker. But what, I mean, everybody knows CO2 emissions are bad. What's worse than CO2? No, don't say CO3. Okay. Okay. I know. So the permafrost is now leaching out, and also the lakes are heating up where this is frozen. This is actually frozen methane that's burning. This is fire inside of ice. It's the frozen methane actually releasing gas. You know, and so we can do else, but we survive a rough idea of the thermohaline conveyor belt. What this is why when you're close to water, it has a pretty consistent temperature. Because there's a flow, and we call it, on the East Coast, it's called the Gulf Stream, where water's heated up near the equator, it comes up, goes across, heats up Europe, and then it goes to the Arctic, cools off, and it goes underneath, okay, the warm layer, and it has this beautiful cycle. Well, with the heat, we're dumping a tremendous amount of fresh water in there from the Arctic ice and now from Greenland. And this is dumping a tremendous amount of cold or fresh water in there, which is stopping this. So as soon as this conveyor belt stops, and I'm talking just within the next couple of years, there's going to be an ice age in Europe where it's going to wipe out a good hunk of their economy. It's going to wipe out a good hunk of their food production. So they have to focus all of their intention, because this is already done. It's a done deal, to actually adapt and go through this heated phase, go through a massive, rapid lowering of temperatures, okay, which is going to be the result of stopping the Gulf Stream, and freeze Europe and freeze Canada and freeze a good hunk of America. Cover it with ice, and that's going to reflect it, and that's going to cool down. So it's a pretty drastic procedure, but all you had was nanoparticles, aluminum and barium titanate and strontium particles that you're breathing in, and you only had the nanoparticles damaging the lungs, and it's on your food, so that's 4,000 of the people that die from asthma die from the drugs. Or you don't have healthy minerals. Your body can't produce the surfactant, so it produces a thick, heavy covering called mucus. This is why people with asthma have 10 times the amount of mucus in the lungs. So it's really partly nutrition. You breathe out, it blows out. Okay, so it like squishes out. It's kind of like someone going, okay, to throw it out. So, chest. When you take a deep breath, the stomach's got to move. Yep. And I'll punch everybody in the stomach that wants that demo. Okay. No. This is is why, I don't know if you've ever seen someone injured, where they get stabbed in the chest, the lung collapses, and the rib cage pops out. It's the coolest looking thing ever. It's miserable for the person because they can't breathe, they're missing half of their lung tissue, and they can die. But that's just by piercing the pleural cavity. The lung literally collapses and this pops out. But also, too, when you're talking about emphysema, okay, or a scar tissue, and this is what you're going to see a lot with the nanoparticles. If you're damaging a lot of that lung tissue, you get this barrel chest. Okay, and this is what a lot of people, when you see a lot of emphysema victims, they're usually like this, hauling the oxygen thing, smoking a cigarette. Okay, have you seen them? Okay, you have. I know. Okay, well, what happens is, because they breathe, remember, you got to have the diaphragm coming up, and just if the lungs are popped out or the rib cage is popped out, the diaphragm flattens out, so there's no strength to it. So what they do to breathe, they have to push the stomach contents up, so they breathe like this. And they're barely getting enough air. Okay, and this is why decrease the pressure. So you've got this regulation, or the pH regulation, by this mnemonic last week when we were talking about the neck. And when you're learning anatomy, you got to learn mnemonics. Okay, someday I'll teach you the mnemonics of the bones of the hand. Right now, every doctor that's seeing this on YouTube is laughing. Because do you want to know the mnemonic of the bones of the hand? Okay, some lovers try positions that they can't handle.